The correspondent for a well-known Manila newspaper writes an elaborate letter to his editor, describing the grandiosity of the fiesta at San Diego. His letter reveals the prestige associated with the celebration and the various important people in attendance. "Never have I seen a fiesta so grand, so deeply moving as this one." The correspondent begins his letter, awed by the scale and splendor of the religious festival in San Diego. He notes the impressive attendance of friars from various orders, such as the Augustinians and Dominicans, as well as wealthy individuals from Manila and neighboring provinces like Cavite and Pampanga. "I greeted nearly all the Spaniards in the province," he continues, "including Fray Hernando Cibola, whose presence here is an honor that will not soon be forgotten by the townspeople." The friars' participation adds a sense of importance to the occasion, and the correspondent emphasizes how the presence of the Spanish elite elevates the status of the event. The fiesta begins with an evening of music and festivities. Bands play, fireworks light up the night sky, and a procession of important townspeople parades through the streets. At 9 on the night of the 10th, the correspondent recalls, we were invited to witness a grand spectacle, a comic, mimic, lyric performance in a newly constructed theater right in the middle of the town plaza. The audience, mostly local townsfolk, eagerly waits for the show to begin, their excitement building with each burst of fireworks. The correspondent, however, is more critical of the entertainment. He and the other Spanish guests are unimpressed by the Tagalog drama, which they find overly simplistic. The Gobernador Silio remarked that the play would have been more impressive if the princess had fought the giant, the correspondent writes with a hint of condescension. Especially if the giant could only be defeated by striking his vulnerable navel, like a tale of Ferragus from the old legends of the paladins. Despite their indifference, the Spaniards, including Padre Damaso, graciously enjoy the refreshments provided by Capitan Tiago. Don Santiago de los Santos, known as Capitan Tiago, plays a significant role in the fiesta. His wealth and influence are on full display as he hosts a lavish dinner for the town's elite, including several friars. The correspondent can't help but marvel at the luxury of Capitan Tiago's home. His house is filled with luxury and taste unusual among the natives, he writes, adding that the true gem of the evening is Tiago's daughter, Maria Clara. Maria Clara, the beautiful and refined young heiress, impresses the guests with her musical talent. She played on her elegant piano with such mastery, the correspondent gushes, that I could not help but think of the great Galvez. However, her modesty prevents her from fully embracing the admiration of the crowd, much to the disappointment of the correspondent. It is a matter of regret that such a charming young lady hides her talents from a society eager to admire her, he laments. As the evening progresses, the Spaniards indulge in Capitan Tiago's hospitality. Champagne and fine liqueurs flowed freely, the correspondent notes. Yet, he can't help but notice the absence of Don Crisostomo Ibarra, the young heir of the late Don Rafael Ibarra. Ibarra's name is on everyone's lips, spoken with praise for his philanthropy and noble lineage, he writes, hinting at Ibarra's upcoming role in the town's future. The following day, the fiesta continues with a religious procession honoring the Virgin of Peace, whose image is carried through the streets with great reverence. The correspondent describes the procession in detail, noting the pious fervor of the townspeople and the grand spectacle of the event. The Gobernador Silio led the procession, followed by silver candelabras, municipal officials, and images of saints dressed in satin and gold. Despite the outward display of unity, there is tension between the various religious orders. The correspondent hints at a rivalry between the Brethren of the Holy Rosary and the Venerable Tertiary Order, each vying for prominence in serving God. This rivalry, he explains, manifests in a holy quarrel over which priest would deliver the sermon on the following day. Ultimately, Fray Damaso, known for his powerful sermons, is chosen to preach. Tomorrow's sermon will be a literary and religious event, the correspondent writes with anticipation. The very Reverend Fray Damaso is expected to deliver a sermon that will leave a lasting impression. This reflects the power and influence that the friars hold over the town, with their words capable of shaping the community's religious and social landscape. Meanwhile, Capitan Martin Aristoreñas, a local elite, offers a much more casual and humorous take on the fiesta in his letter to his friend Luis Chiquito. "Choy, you should come as fast as you can," Capitan Martin writes. "Capitan Joaquin is nearly broke. Capitan Tiago beat him 3 times at cards." He goes on to describe how Padre Damaso, notorious for his temper, smashed a lamp in frustration after losing repeatedly in a gambling game. "The consul lost all he had won from us at previous fiestas," Martin adds with a chuckle. Martin's letter reveals the more playful side of the fiesta, where the town's elite engage in gambling, cockfighting, and other forms of entertainment. He also mentions how Carlos, a local Chinese merchant, has been making a fortune with his gambling game, Liam Po. "I suspect he has some charm hidden in his head wrap," Martin writes skeptically, adding, "He keeps leaning over the wheel as if he can control its outcome." The light-hearted tone of Martin's letter contrasts sharply with the formal and reverent tone of the Correspondence account. As the festivities continue, Ibarra remains notably absent due to a mild illness. This absence does not go unnoticed by Maria Clara, who sends him a personal note through Andeng, her foster sister. "Crisostomo," she writes, "it has been over a day since I've seen you. I've heard that you are ill, and I have been praying for your recovery." Maria Clara's letter reveals her growing concern for Ibarra, who has been distant during the celebrations. "Last night and today, I've been bored with requests to play the piano and dance," she confides. "If it weren't for Padre Damaso trying to entertain me, I would have locked myself in my room." Maria Clara's frustration hints at her discomfort with the superficial social obligations she must fulfill during the fiesta. She longs for Ibarra's company, adding, "If you don't come tomorrow, I won't attend the ceremony.